Welcome to Huddle Up.
Brought to you by the Fields Huddle Group.
Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. Kind of a quiet place this week on the bye week. Bucky Brooks joining us from Los Angeles, California. And here we go, our final chance to discuss this Rams-Jaguars matchup. The rest of the week, there's no shows. It's the bye week. So this is it. This is the final program on Jaguars.com this week before the bye week.
Next week.
Before next week.
Before next week.
We'll do it again next week.
That's right.
Bucky, good afternoon. What's up?
Not too much. What's going on, guys? How you feeling?
Pretty good. Jaguars are, not feeling as good as they were a few weeks ago, but that's kind of what it is. 4-3 record. Bye week is here. A lot of self-scouting, assessment, digging into what they do well and they don't do well. And, we'll dig into all that on both sides of the ball, offense, defense coming up. But, a lot of the same things popped up this past week at Wembley where the Jags kept getting penalized. And it's hard to get past that when – the biggest game wrecker is yourselves.
Yeah, and Bucky, I'll let you comment on it because you obviously played more NFL snaps than I did.
Obviously.
But to me, the game was summed up, and it's a situational game when you're watching it, and it becomes less so when you're analyzing. You look for other things when you're analyzing it during the week. But the Jaguars in their first three series faced something in long every time. The Rams on their first four series only faced it once and they punted, and they scored the other three times. There are some teams who can overcome bad down and distance when they're mature teams. In the first year of a build, when this is not the same talent level as they're going to win in 3 years. They're just getting started. They're still figuring out this offense. You have to be in good down and distance. And to me, Bucky, until they stop putting themselves into those situations. The Rams never did it. I mean, until they stop doing that, we won't know if this team's any good or not.
No, you won't. And you can't win until you learn how to avoid losing. And right now we are still tripping ourselves up. And it's one of those things where coaches talk about, you hear Liam talk about like, hey, it can't be the Jags beating the Jags. But it's the penalties, it's the turnovers, the drop passes. Those things are really hurting them. And then for the first time in a long time, we saw some blown assignments or misalignments that led to big plays. Those are things that the Jags had done a pretty good job of kind of keeping in check. But, man, it keeps rearing its ugly head in inopportune moments. And it's really preventing the team from even see if they're good enough to beat these other teams that they're taking on.
Yeah, JP, we've got 2 weeks, and I've got 2 weeks answering questions in the ozone. And I thought on the ride home the other night, the people are going to get sick of me talking about it because I was watching that game in real time and thinking, 3rd and 11, 2nd and 12. They are not. When you overcome that these days, you feel like it's a big win. It's just harder and harder to overcome those situations, and they put themselves in it every time, and then they drop the ball.
Right. When they do actually have a 3rd and long and have a route that's open, Parker can't catch it, or whoever can't catch it, fill in the blank, right? And that's they can't execute.
Yeah. So I guess, Bucky, I've seen this team win 4 games against 3 what look like pretty good teams. Carolina, San Francisco, and KC are all over 500. I think KC's really good. I think Frisco's really good. We've seen them do it, so they can do it. But until they start doing it again, it's going to frustrate people, mostly themselves.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's very frustrating to see them continue to have these issues because it's been talked about ad nauseum. I mean, Liam talks about it every time he steps in front of the mic about just not beating ourselves or not doing the things that will put us in a bind and making the plays that are there to be made and those things. And we're not doing it consistently enough. And I could sense that the frustration had kind of reached that point when he said, like, hey, we need to figure out who needs to play more and who needs to play less based on their performance. To me, one, it's a grown-up thing. You applaud that because talking about holding people accountable. But, yeah, we have reached that point where we do need to kind of figure out who can handle the execution expectations and who can't.
All right, guys, let's come back. We'll dig into the offense moving ahead and get into that offensive line a little bit as well and see what the Jags can do on that side of the football. A little later, a dig into the Jags defense that has gone dry in the takeaway department the last couple weeks. If you want customized Jags furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. Zipchair, furniture for fans. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. For over 50 years, Fields Auto Group has been America's premier family-owned luxury auto group, selling the most iconic brands in the world. We understand the luxury customer and provide an extraordinary car buying and service experience. It's not just about selling cars. Fields is focused on building lifelong relationships. We invite you to visit Fields and enjoy an honest and memorable luxury car buying experience.
Chelsea here, ready to upgrade your windows or patio doors? During our fall savings month, get 20% off your replacement windows and patio doors. Plus, enjoy 0 down, 0 payments, or 0 interest for 12 months. Our Acclaim Impact windows are built for Florida homes, designed to help you save on energy bills by maintaining indoor temperatures year-round. Offer ends October 31st. Restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free in-home consultation. License number CGC 1527613. Renewal by Anderson, where comfort meets savings.
The kick is up. It's good!
Field goals for Firehouse Subs are back. That means when the Jags score from deep, you do too. Anytime the Jags score a field goal that's 40 yards or more, you can get a free medium sub with the purchase of any other medium sub online or in the app for 4 days following the game. So cheer on the Jags, watch for the big kicks, and get your buy one, get one free medium sub at participating Firehouse Subs throughout Jacksonville when you use the app. The hottest subs in Duval. See firehousesubs.com for offer terms.
Hi, it's Sam Kavaris. Just like the best players to ever wear the Jaguars black and teal, Echo East Coast Transportation is reliable when it counts. As the team's official transportation provider, they've been getting the Jaguars players, staff, and executives where they need to be, safely and on time, for more than a decade, with the newest vehicles and professional drivers. Call them at 904-631-5466 or find them online at ectjax.com and use the code SAM in the special instructions for your 15% Jaguars discount.
We've obviously need to make sure that we're in a position, with our hands, with our violent to the tuck, with the way we're looking the ball in, and also ball plays, making sure the ball is in the right spots and not, all that stuff. I think there's a combination of things. Still, we got to keep throwing it, though. We can't go running it. So it's just the way it goes.
Liam Cohen after the game at Wembley. Jaguars fall to the Rams 35-7. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. That was in reference to throwing the football to Brian Thomas Jr. Some more drops in the game. He ended the day, I believe, with 6, and then at least a couple more in the game. And he wasn't the only one, by the way, but they got to keep on doing it offensively. And, a lot of this is stuff we've talked about every week, like the drops and the lack of execution and the overthrows, and maybe the ball's a little behind a receiver, or he overthrows the open tight end, or it just hits the receiver in the hands and they can't bring it in. So Bucky has you see the frustration a little bit on Liam Cohen's face there, certainly. Just what else can you do? But there's a lot of season left for this to continue to build and grow offensively, but you got to execute the little things, the pass and catch. It's as simple as that, and they haven't been able to do it consistently.
No, they haven't been able to do it consistently. And what that will probably lead Liam Cohen and the coaches to do is to focus more on it in practice in terms of being really diligent about paying attention to the details, whether it's route depth, whether it's pass catching technique. You heard him talk about eyes and putting your nose on the tip of the ball and watching it to tuck and making sure that it's caught before you run up the field and those things. I am sure the Jug machine is in heavy utilization over the next 2 weeks. They'll do a bunch of basic things to kind of go back to just making sure that the fundamentals are right. But at the end of the day, these are pros. And in the pros, there are expectations that everyone has to meet. When the ball is thrown in your area, you're supposed to catch it. When you're asked to throw the ball, you're expected to throw it in the strike zone. So as much as we want to blame the pass catchers, the passer also has to share some of the responsibility. And I would think that it would be on Trevor to get together with the wide receivers and make sure they iron out some of the issues that have been plaguing them from the beginning of the season. Because for the Jaguars to be the team that they can be and want to be, the passing game has to improve tremendously over the last half of the season.
Yeah, there's so much to get into, and I don't want to be accused of overlooking Trevor Lawrence because, look, first play of the game takes a sack that shouldn't have taken.
Got to throw it.
And there's a couple of the sacks that sort of add up to that as well. And there are throws that have to be made that he's not making. And there are instinctive stuff or, football feel stuff that still sort of make you shake your head every now and then. All that said, he's quarterback. And the fact that Liam stood there and said, hey, we've got to keep throwing. Well, think about the performances that it takes to get a coach to that. I don't put words in his mouth when he says, hey, we can't keep running. Well, of course you have to keep throwing. Mm-hmm. And when you not sure where to throw it to, which I think has to be the case with number 7, and I'm not trying to sit here and just pound on Brian Thomas Jr., but everybody sees the struggles. Bucky, that so much of an offense, how teams defend you and what you run off of is key on having a guy that, okay, we know he can do this. We have to take this away. It opens things up for other players. It makes the quarterback comfortable of, I know I'm going to have this read. When there's not that confidence in your quote-unquote one, it cripples things from what I've seen over the years.
Yeah, I would say that at some point you have to reevaluate the pecking order.
Sure, right.
So the first thing that you do is you hear coaches talk about making sure that I'm asking players to do what they do really well. And if you look at the numbers and you look at the drops that Brian Thomas Jr. has had, most of them have been on in-breaking routes, inside the numbers, going across the middle. The natural thing that you can do is, hey, let's not ask him to do things that he's not great at, even though it shrinks the call sheet and maybe prevents us from getting him the ball at a high volume. Maybe we need to ask him to do things that he does well, catching the ball on out-breaking route, catching the ball vertical. Maybe that's his wheelhouse. Now the trick is finding someone who can do the things that he does well. I'll tell you that when you look at Travis Hunter, he catches the ball well in traffic. He is the best ball catcher that we have on the team, and that's been established from the first day that he walked onto the field. He is as natural a pass catcher as we'll find, catches the ball easily, effortlessly. To me, as we reshuffle the deck in the passing game, it has to be number 12 being the number one option, and then everybody else fills in after that. Not giving up on Brian Thomas Jr., but I think, look, the numbers are the numbers, and the film is the film. And if you're not reordering the priority sheet, the distribution sheet, you're not being fair to everyone in the locker room. Travis Hunter first, then it could be Brian Thomas Jr. or Bretton Strange, and then you work your way down from that. I think that will be what we see from this team coming out of the break, that Travis Hunter has a lot more touches and opportunities to make his mark on offense. And he'll still do the defense thing, but I think it's about number 12 being featured on offense.
I have a question for the offensive coordinator. And I don't know the answer, which is why I'm answering the question. The fact that Travis, and understandably in his situation, really knows one wide receiver position, because it's a lot to learn, and they focused on teaching him this one spot. Can he be the one from with what he knows? Is that fair to him to have the offense go through him at this point? And I don't know really the details of what I'm asking, but I guess talk about the subtleties of that.
Look, man, I understand. Like normally what you do with the number one receiver, you have a bunch of bells and whistles that you use to make sure that you can free him from various coverage, whether it's double teams or bracket, or they're clouding the thing this way. I think before we even get to thinking about what we'll need to do to handle some of the counter tactics, one, we need to establish that he's the number one. And I think anyone who has watched, particularly of late, when he gets the ball in his hands, he is electric. He rarely is tackled by the first guy on the scene. He makes guys miss. He has a flair for the dramatic when it comes to the electricity that he brings when he has the ball in his hands. That's one. Two, he is the most consistent and reliable pass catcher that they have. When you look at the rates, the catch rates, whatever it is, targets to catches, he is the best. As you're thinking about this, and it's going to be, the challenge is really on Liam Cohen because he has all these plays that he wants to get to because he knows that they will work. But the first thing he has to write down is, okay, Travis Hunter does these things well. These are the plays that work for him in getting him the ball. Same thing for Brian Thomas Jr. Here are the plays that work well for him, the routes and the route tree and those things. And then it's maybe scaling down the menu so that every play puts each of those players in a position where they're playing to their strengths and you're minimizing their weaknesses. Hard to do, but it needs to be done if this offense is going to operate more efficiently going down the stretch.
Fellas, let's come back. We'll flip it around and take a look at the Jaguars' defense at the bye week and how to get back on the takeaway train. They missed the train the last 2 weeks or so. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. Finally, inventories and prices are customer friendly.
That's because summer's here, so let's keep it real at the Field Summer Sales Event.
We have vehicles on the ground and ready to go. All new makes and models to choose from, even electric cars and SUVs. Stop searching for your next luxury vehicle and see Fields first.
And get an incredible offer like this.
Right now, save up to $10,000 on remaining new 2024 Porsche models in stock at Porsche Jacksonville. Go to PorscheJacksonville.com.
Jags fans, this one's for you. If you've got MyGate rewards, you're already in the game. But now you've got a shot at the ultimate prize, meeting QB1 himself, Trevor Lawrence, at Everbank Stadium with 3 friends by your side. With the MyGate Rewards Gatorade Club, every 5 Gatorade items you purchase equals 1 entry toward your chance to win. Stack them up and score big. See store for details. Gear up for the season. Gates got you.
What's the best part about lawn care during the winter? You can give it a rest. Lawns only need watering up to once a week. Really, that's it. Using less water means you're saving time and money that you can put towards something else. Before you run your sprinklers, remember, give it a rest and only water up to once a week. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com. Watch the game, host your crew, or just unwind at BC Grill and Patio at Shadrick Jacksonville, part of the Marriott family of hotels. Enjoy craft cocktails, tasty bites, and indoor-outdoor seating perfect for watch parties, happy hours, and events. Mention this radio ad for 10% off food and drinks. Visit SheridanJacksonville.com or call 904-564-4772.
I feel like we're really growing together, and we're getting better. But today, I feel like we had to step back. And as a leader, I feel like that's definitely one of me being a key part in that. But I let the guys know that I let them down, and they appreciated me. But like I said, man, I really do love them, and we're gonna get better. And I know I've been through my fair share of adversity, so I think we can get through this.
Jordan Lewis, Jaguars cornerback, had 4 penalties called against him in the game, 2 on 1 play in the game at Wembley this past week. The loss to the Rams. Welcome back. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. If you got plans for 2028, well, the Jaguars certainly do. They'll be back better than ever and be among the first to experience the stadium of the future and cement your place in Jags history. Place your deposit now, jaguars.com/SOTF tickets, and join the future of the Jaguars. Well, the Jaguars' immediate future defensively could use a few more turnovers as they look at the defensive coverage of the game presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association. First few weeks of the season, 14 takeaways, and the last 2 weeks, none. No takeaways for this Jaguars defense the last 2 weeks. Devin Lloyd has not been on the field. He was a big piece of a lot of that takeaway defense. And, of course, early in the season, they're playing with a lead a lot. And when teams are trailing, they're throwing at you and a little more aggressive. So defensively, where are the Jags now at the bye week, Bucky? Where do you think they stand, and where does this group go from here?
Now, look, without question, they're coming off the worst performance of the season. But overall, the team has been really good on that side of the ball. Defensively, they've exceeded expectations. The turnovers are a thing that you're not going to be able to rely on them consistently, but you always want to have the obsession because they do decide games. The things that have to work is this is a complementary football team, meaning that the defense is dependent upon the offense and the special teams in terms of their performance to set them up for success. Because the offense hasn't been able to grab the lead, they haven't been able to force opponents into a one-dimensional approach that really plays into the pass rush and the defense being in zone and being able to really go after the ball. So it's about everybody getting on the same page. And on defense, it's about making sure that the assignments and the alignments are right, making sure that the gap fits are right on early down so you stop the run and you force teams to throw when everyone in the stadium knows they're throwing, and then you can heat them up and you can get after the passer and those things. So it's just about getting back on the details. I would just say that the Rams game was a bit of an anomaly. I don't know what was going on, but I can tell you that it seemed like the team was in a fog and they just didn't show up and play. Throw that out, look at the good that we've seen, focus on that, clean up some of the little issues that have popped up. But look, man, the defense is solid. It's not necessarily that side of the ball. It's really the other side getting help from the offense that'll help the defense continue to improve.
Yeah, I'm absolutely on the same page as Bucky here. I think the most overlooked part when people talk about the NFL is how situational it is and how situational some statistics are. When you're trailing, and they've been sort of down in the last couple of games, whereas the theme going into Seattle, remember, was they had led this inordinate amount of the season. I think and when you haven't had that the last couple of weeks, it reduces your chance of turnovers. I think the encouraging thing for this defense, I don't think they're going to be a top 5 defense. I don't think they're going to be remembered with the 85 Bears, all that. But I think they're good, and they still seem in control in the running game. And when you can stop the run, you give yourself a chance, if other circumstances are right, to be in passing situations and get turnovers. Also, I don't think it could be overlooked. This is a different defense once 44 went out and not playing with both hands.
Yeah, that's right.
And he is I get that he's not a 15 sack or wasn't willing creating the turnovers, but he wrecks stuff. And I do think that his disruption and the fact that teams don't have to be as concerned about him when he's playing with one hand, just breaking the game. Bucky, I think that keeps them from being when he's not right, there's not that much on the defense that scares you because Josh Hines-Allen can't be as effective because they can double him.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, we could talk about like the personnel, but the Jags, when they're locked and loaded and they have everyone available, they're problematic because you have 2 big-time pass rushers. You have a playmaker that's emerging in the middle in Devin Lloyd, and then you have a big body inside in Eric Armstead that has created problems to allow those 2 outside guys to eat. Well, now when injuries takes one off the field in Lloyd and puts another in a compromised position where he can't fully utilize all the things that makes him a dominant player, yeah, the defense is impacted. That said, you don't make excuses for it. You have to be able to kind of work around it. And so this bye week, Anthony Campanile can dig in the lab and try and figure out how can I make up for what we don't have available to us personnel-wise through scheming. What can we do, whether it's zone blitzes, whether it's stunts, games, and those things to create one-on-one opportunities for Josh Hines-Allen and somebody else that emerges on the front line, and also give our guys in the back end an opportunity to see ball, get ball, and a vision and break defense. This bye week, this reset, gives us a chance to do that so we can have a better version of the unit show up when we play the Raiders in a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's come back in a moment. We'll take a look at the road ahead for the Jaguars after the bye and the AFC South race and our final thoughts. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields. Finally, inventories and prices are customer friendly.
That's because summer's here, so let's keep it real at the Field Summer Sales Event.
New inventory is arriving daily. All new makes and models to choose from, even electric cars and SUVs.
Visit Fields today and find the fit for you.
And get an incredible offer like this.
For a limited time, get $3,000 off all Lexus TX 350s in stock at Lexus of Jacksonville and Lexus of Orange Park.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguar sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Watch the game, host your crew, or just unwind at PC Grill and Patio at Shadrick Jacksonville, part of the Marriott family of hotels. Enjoy craft cocktails, tasty bites, and indoor-outdoor seating perfect for watch parties, happy hours, and events. Mention this radio ad for 10% off food and drinks. Visit SheridanJacksonville.com or call 904-564-4772.
Jags fans, this one's for you. If you've got MyGate rewards, you're already in the game. But now you've got a shot at the ultimate prize, meeting QB1 himself, Trevor Lawrence, at Everbank Stadium with 3 friends by your side. With the MyGate Rewards Gatorade Club, every 5 Gatorade items you purchase equals 1 entry toward your chance to win. Stack them up and score big. See store for details. Gear up for the season. Gates got you.
Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first. Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. JP Shadrick, John Oehser from the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center. Bucky Brooks in Los Angeles. Final thoughts. The AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts, 6-1 now, 1-0 in the division, 5-0 in the conference, and they don't seem, Bucky, to be slowing down at all. And now a couple of games advantage over the Jaguars. This will all, if the Jaguars can get on track and stay within reach. There are 2 games between these 2 teams in December, so a lot of season left to go. But what's Indy doing so well?
Man, they're just a really good team. They're well constructed. They're playing complementary ball, and they found the right quarterback for the team in Daniel Jones. And a lot of people will kind of say, how can he flounder with the Giants but then really work well with the Colts? It's because, like I've said, everyone, pretty much 85% of the league are system players. And when you get the right player and the right system with the right coach, you can see them blossom. And what we're seeing is Shane Steichen has unlocked a lot of Daniel Jones' potential, his athleticism, his playmaking ability, and Daniel Jones has given them a game manager plus, someone who understands how to play smart situational football while still having enough ability to make some plays off the script. And when you take that with a big-time rusher and Jonathan Taylor, some talented playmakers on the perimeter, Tyler Warren, who they drafted this year, Pittman and Josh Downs, they're really good on offense. And then defensively, the underrated signing was them getting defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. They get turnovers, they get after it. They're a smart defense that throws a lot of different looks at you. And right now, all of the pieces of the puzzle fit together. That said, the Jaguars can control their own destiny when it comes to them because they play some fights. But I'm going to tell you, this version of the Colts is a much different version than we thought coming into the year. And so you just have to be aware that they're going to be there. They're going to be there to the end.
Yeah, they got to reel them back in, and I don't think the Jaguars are going to win all their games until the Colts. So there's a little bit of hoping they come back down to earth a little bit. So they look very solid and very consistent, and they're 2 games up, so I would say they're clear favorite. But they've already the Colts. I like the Jaguars. They've gotten through some tests. They've beaten Denver and they've beaten LA, the Chargers. So they've gotten through a couple of the ones. If they were coming up, if those games were coming up, you'd be like, oh, those teams are tough.
Yeah, that's right.
They've gotten through those. So, they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get them.
All right, so now the Jaguar schedule after the bye. 4 of the next 5 are on the road. At Vegas, at Houston, home against the Chargers, and then at Arizona, at Tennessee. That is, never mind the opponents, away 4 of the next 5 weeks. That's how it goes when the London game is in the middle of the schedule, Bucky. And they've got a lot to figure out in the next week before they head out to Las Vegas.
Yeah, but there's no easy way into the postseason. And so you have to have a tough mindset where you have to be road warriors. In a perfect world, you want to win all the games that you have at home, and you want to go 50-50 on those road games. Well, now we have to attack the road where we got to win some of these games against tough opponents. But I think if you look at the stretch that we just came out of, we would all say that was going to be the most difficult stretch that we had. And what you want the first half of the year, it's not popular to say, but it's very much like coaches think. You just want to be in contention. You just don't want to be off the radar by the time you get to the midpoint of the season. But the Jags are squarely in it. But to make it into the postseason, the magic number is 10. So now we got to start stacking some of these wins up against some teams that are even or competitive with us. We got to find ways to win those games. And if we win them, then we have an opportunity to dance a little bit when we get into January.
Look, if this team plays how it did the first 5 games, I'm not particularly worried about where the next 5 are. There's no team on that schedule to me that the Seahawks and the Rams were tough matchups to me. When the schedule came out, those were the 2 games that I thought a lot of people are going to look at different parts of this schedule and not realize how tough that little stretch is because they're just good franchises that rarely have weaknesses. Baselli asked me about a month ago, maybe after Cincinnati, what I thought of the team. And I said, I think you'll be in however many games were left, 12 or 13 out of your last 15. I think you're going to be in contention at the end, and I think you're going to get hammered in 2 or 3 of the games. Not because of anything, but that's usually how it goes in early regime years. Well, they got hammered on Sunday. And it's tough to rationalize that right after it happens. But to me, this team isn't any different than I thought they'd be at midseason. I thought they were a 9 or 10 win team. I thought there would be a couple of games that they just got rolled because that's usually what happens early when you're still figuring stuff out. But if you told me they were 4-3 at the bye with victories over San Fran and Kansas City, it's there for them if they can play to the identity that they were in the first 4 or 5 games. Now, I don't know if they can do that, but if they cut out these mistakes, they can.
Sure.
This is not a dead season, Buck.
No,
contrary to what the inbox says.
Yeah, and I think you have to keep everything in perspective. And keep it in perspective, like, man, these games are like snowflakes. Every game has its own individual story, and you can't worry about, is there a carryover? There's no carryover from what took place in London to what's going to take place when we line it up against in the Raiders. Hopefully, though, the lessons that come out of these losses will make you a much better team coming out of it, whether that is how to prepare for a game, whether that's, let's make sure we understand the personnel that we need on the field, primarily touching the ball, all those things. This is where we are, because coming into the year, there's a thing like, we think we're going to play like this. And then you get to that point where you do the self-reflection like, hey, I know we thought that we were going to play like this, but here's how we have to play with our team. We're now at that point. And what good coaching staffs do is they pivot when they need to. This is a perfect opportunity for us to pivot, to put our players in the best position to play their best.
These games are all snowflakes.
I can't beat
How about that?
So we may as well.
That's analysis.
Sign it off. We may as
unique.
I
They're
cannot
all
beat that.
Unique
What
snowflakes.
are we talking about?
Love it.
What are we talking
Love
about?
it.
We're going to lean into what we do best, which is Bucky analogies, and close it out.
That's a good way to call it a day. Bucky, have a great bye week and enjoy. We'll talk to you again next week. Appreciate
Thanks, Buck.
Amen. Thanks, guys.
Bucky Brooks out of here. John Oehser, JP Shadrick. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, our entire crew. And thanks to you for watching. Enjoy the bye week. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.